Coming up on Mountain News this morning, officials are continuing to advocate for Suicide Prevention Month as they ask you to reach out to someone in need. And Floyd County is looking for alternative solutions to meet its quota for school resource officers.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Madison Carmouche. We are just past that 5:30 mark this Monday morning. Today is September 23rd, and let's check in with meteorologist Mace Michaels for a look at your fall forecast.
Hi there, Madison. We are looking at a warm morning. It won't feel like fall much, at least for today. Temperatures will trend down this week, giving a little bit more of a fallish feel. One thing that's a little different than what we've seen as of late, several days of chances of rain. It's dry in London and Corbin at 67, but not the case here in Hazard. Not any raindrops falling now, but some nearby. Some fell earlier on. 64 with clouds and some foggy areas. Visibility is down around Jonesville and Williamsburg to near zero, so watch out for pockets of locally dense fog, along with some of the showers that have been passing through. But the temps are warm to begin the day. Pick out your hometown, but you're generally mild with mid-60s to near 70-degree weather. Here's the showers pushing through close to Jackson, around Moorhead and Louisa, just east of Hazard and north of Harlan. Continuing to track off to the east, but more areas of rain are likely for today. So our forecast, obviously, will be kind of wet at times, but it'll still be warm today in the 80s, Madison. Cooler weather's ahead. More on that in a little bit.
All right, Mace, thank you. A man accused of killing a Scott County deputy is set to be sentenced today in a separate case. Stephen Sheehan pleaded guilty to burglary in Kenton County in April. He's accused of shooting Deputy Caleb Conley during a traffic stop last May. Police say he then went on a crime spree through Lexington. His sentencing is scheduled for 9 this morning. His charges in Fayette and Scott counties are still pending. A man in Pennington Gap has been sentenced to serve 11 consecutive life sentences. Lee County Commonwealth's Attorney H. Fuller Cridlin says Daniel Vanover has been convicted for 11 counts of rape after a multi-day jury trial last month. Cridlin says each count had its own mandatory life sentence. In a statement, Cridlin wrote in part, quote, "This outcome reflects the hard work and dedication of many individuals and agencies committed to seeking justice," end quote. Specific details of the case were not provided for the privacy of the victims. A new online blackmail scam has been reported in Virginia, impacting email accounts. The Virginia Fusion Center says the scam works like this. First, the victim will get an email with only their name, address, and phone number in the body of the email. There will also be a PDF document that says, "I know that visiting or calling you would be an effective way to get in reaching you." Then the scammer says they have information on the victim and demands money. You are advised to ignore and delete these emails. A fire was reported at an abandoned structure on Sunday in Lawrence County. The Fallsburg and Webbville fire departments went to the reported fire, according to a Facebook post. There are photos of suspicious people in the area of the fire. The Lawrence County Sheriff's Department and Kentucky State Troopers are investigating this fire and multiple others in the area. The London Police Department is asking for help finding one person. If you look at your screen, you can see a person next to a car. People say the person could be involved in a criminal mischief case. Anyone with information on the person or their whereabouts is asked to contact the London Laurel County 911 Center at 606-878-7000. The Pikeville Police Department and Kentucky State Police are looking for a missing woman from the Zebulon community. Trish Walters, who you can see on your screen, is said to have been missing since September 15th and was last seen with an unknown man. She has been in Pike County, Ashland, Hazard, and London. She has dark hair, a facial piercing, and tattoos on her arms. She drives a silver Chevy Spark. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Pikeville Police Department at 606-437-6236. Kentuckians affected by severe storms in May have until midnight tonight to apply for assistance. You can apply for help online at disasterassistance.gov through the FEMA app or by calling 800-621-3362. Those who work with FEMA want to make sure those with uninsured damages or losses applies while they still can. For those struggling with suicidal thoughts, help is always here. September is Suicide Prevention Month, and health professionals at primary care are offering support. They also suggest if you know of someone struggling, don't hesitate to reach out.
If they have any type of coexisting mental health disorders, such as depression, bipolar disorder, that's a huge risk factor for suicide. Also, a family history of suicide, substance abuse, environmental factors. Sometimes certain populations will have higher risk factors.
If you or someone you know are struggling, you can call or text the Suicide Crisis Hotline at 988. University of Louisville researchers are using new funding to study fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. They secured $2.3 million in funding from the National Institutes of Health to look into how genetics can increase the risk of FASD. They'll use zebrafish as their test subjects since they share 82% of the same genes as people. Similar studies have already helped tweak formula of prenatal victims to keep them from developing FASD and treat the defects if they do happen. School officials in Floyd County are discussing possible solutions to their shortage of school resource officers. Last year, lawmakers mandated SROs be present on school campuses but did not provide funding to districts to employ additional officers. In efforts to address the issue at a recent school board meeting in Floyd County, the district's chief safety officer brought a proposal that details starting a school-based district-wide law enforcement agency. There was no vote on this made at the meeting.
The school-based law enforcement agencies are based a law that's very similar to a university police department. In doing that, it does allow us to dealing with some of our different funding sources, it does allow us to sometimes pay better to officers in rural areas especially.
This still has to go through the board for approval. School districts throughout the state are working through not having enough counselors. The annual school safety risk assessment report shows nearly half of Kentucky schools do not have a sufficient amount of counselors for each student. Carrie Lawson is a school-based counselor at Robinson Elementary School. She says there has been a shift for what roles some counselors play in a school.
We're getting away from the stigma. I know there was a big mental health stigma before. I think we're finally kind of having a breakthrough with that because, like I said, mental health is just as important as physical health. And it's going to be hard for the kids to sit there in class and do some type of assignment if they're going through some emotional struggles or some behavioral struggles. So I feel like the mental health needs of kids is very important.
Lawson says she hopes school districts throughout the Commonwealth work to add counselors for a better impact on students. A 2022 Pew Research study shows that younger Black women are more likely to have negative health care experiences compared to women of other races. Saturday marked the third annual Black Women's Wellness Family Day in Lexington, and for the event's organizer, Dr. Tiffany Brannon, it's a day to help Black women and their children connect to resources they may not get to in other settings. Dr. Brannon says gaps, specifically in health care, are prevalent in Kentucky.
And so I like to kind of look at those gaps on the research to see what are the trends. So what we're being told by the community is that not being heard, and providers are not thinking that their pain is really pain.
In addition to any health care resources families may need, Brannon says there are financial, transportation, and even hair braiding booths set up at the event to provide a holistic approach to wellness. When we return, classy cinema. That's what movie makers want you to think as they plan to fund and refurbish big screens across the country.
Some wet weather across the area for today, actually the next several days. Looks like we will be seeing pockets of rain. Moving through the area now, more details here straight ahead after the break.